All right, let's talk about this. The way that this kicks off is like, wow, does this person start to change though? But the thing is with the Eight of Swords, we're talking about a situation between you and this person that is not moving forward. Somebody is stuck. Maybe this person is unable to give you what you're wanting, or they just can't see how a relationship is moving forward, or, this is kind of like how you're feeling though too. But I think that that's in response to them. The way that you come into this with the Page of Cups and them with the Nine of Pentacles, I think for a lot of you, this is going to be about you expressing the way that you feel to somebody who is single, or you may have found out has become recently single with the Nine of Pentacles, because typically this is going to show somebody who, feels like they have everything that they need. They may be happy with not being in a committed relationship, right? Now, immediately after that, you're showing the Three of Swords, which tells me, especially with the Four of Swords on their side, that as soon as something is communicated, it's like there's no response, or it's not a good response, because you're not feeling good about the fact that you may have opened up about your feelings to this person. And they go into this like period of silence with the Four of Swords, right? So they're not really communicating. You may not have been communicating with this person for a while. They may have broken your heart in a different way. You may have come into this thinking, I really want to be with this person, but they're the type that just kind of wants to be, unattached, I think would be the best way to put it. Now, coming out of that, though, this is where I question on whether or not we are talking about you or them with the King of Pentacles, right? So this could be the person that you're focused on, and it doesn't matter, male, female, if it's another earth sign or if they have earth in their chart. Because as far as I'm concerned, that could be anywhere. But if you're looking at them as the King of Pentacles, especially with them kicking off with the 9, are they more focused on their career and physical gain and success than they are on the relationship? Is that their biggest concern? But on the other hand, it could be that you're looking at them like, maybe they're wanting to be a little bit more dependable and wanting to, see something happen here. But them showing the Seven of Cups, this is one of the reasons why I love this deck, because it gives such a different depiction of it. This is like two people who can see how good things can be, but it's how do we get there? How do we get to those castles built in the sky, right? So I don't necessarily think, if I could talk right, that they're looking at other options, because I'm not seeing anything else here that's indicating that. I think that for them, they look at it like, yeah, that could possibly be, but I don't know that they actually know for sure what they want in terms of you. And again, we're looking at the Eight of Swords, so nothing is really moving forward. Then you move into this place with the Knight of Cups, and then you have the Queen of Pentacles. One of the things that I talk about with her, especially when she shows up in love readings, you got both of them going on. But I don't think that, you want to be dependent on this person, and you certainly don't want to be involved with somebody who is codependent on you in any way, including financial. But the Knight of Cups would suggest that, something is coming toward you here from this person. Them wanting to offer you love, wanting to maybe renew the connection. But my question is are they sure that that's what they want? Because they're showing the Seven of Cups, but then they come out with the 10. And it could be here that this person starts to mature, maybe, and is really wanting to possibly settle down. I don't really see the outcome as a bad thing other than that Eight of Swords. And that may just be for right now. Right now, things are not going to be easy moving forward. And with the way that things go, kicking this off, you may be in a place where you just don't see how this person is going to be able to follow through or give you what you need or be dependable in the way that you need them to be. And I think that once you start seeing them giving you more, I think that you're going to feel a little bit better. I think that you're going to feel better about yourself and about this relationship. But then I also think that if they don't start doing this, the Queen of Wands can also show that you may be like, changing how you are. Like, how do I put this? You're still keeping yourself available, right? Like, you're not going to tie yourself down to this person that they're not going to give you what you want. But I don't know. I don't see her as a bad thing here, especially with the Queen of Pentacles being in the center of this. So, and the other thing though, too, is I kind of get the feeling that this may be a situation where we're discussing on moving in or moving to a different place, or at least meeting this person, especially if we're talking about a long distance relationship here. So with the Knight of Cups and then looking at the Knight of Pentacles, right? Like, I don't think that you're quick to do anything here or quick to believe that they're going to follow through with what they're trying to offer you. I think that you're okay with things moving slowly. I think for them, they want you to see that their feelings have changed. Looking at the Six of Wands, but you're not going to jump right into that. This is something that we're going to have to work on, but you're willing to do that no matter how long it takes, right? But then I also think that you may be talking about a person here who's maybe like dragging ass on making a connection with you or wanting to meet with you, especially if it's a long distance relationship, because clearly here there's some, argument going back and forth here about getting things on track or actually traveling here. And you may be the one saying, fine, if you can't come to me, then I'll come to you. But that immediately causes like this back and forth. Now on the other hand, if we're talking about you needing to make a move, and we're talking about, family situations here with the Ten of Cups, it may be that there are some arguments in terms of who's moving in with who's moving where, right? Now, if you're talking about you having to travel, then that could cause problems though too. But looking at it objectively, anything with trying to pick up the momentum causes problems for them. But I think that you knew that coming in, and you weren't ready to kind of like jump on this, or you're not going to be ready to jump on this. But then coming out, you have the Six of Pentacles with the Queen of Wands. So I look at this and think, okay, maybe you feel a little bit better about, accepting what they are bringing toward you and wanting to see kind of how this goes, despite the fact that there's some disagreement here in momentum and moving forward. But with the Six of Pentacles, they have to give you something, the equal give and take, right? But I think that they know that there is something that they need to be giving. They can't keep like holding out, right? And you can't be the only, one here who is willing to give what's necessary to make the relationship work. But the Queen of Wands for me could be two different things depending on what you're receiving here. And if it's really bringing this kind of overall happiness and long-lasting relationship that you want, right? So it could be that you feel better about going ahead with this, or it's, you're going to take the action here to make yourself feel better about the situation and not be dependent on what they choose to do, right? Wow, man. But again, with the Eight of Swords, this is still leading into a place where it's not going to be that easy moving forward. But the way that you come into that, man, to me, it looked like you expressed the way you felt, and then there was like silence. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to think then? All right. So first of all, honeymoon, right? It doesn't literally mean like you're on a honeymoon, or it doesn't have to be. It just means that you're enjoying time together and it feels like the honeymoon phase, right? But, coming in with the first three cards, I'm like, okay, so you got somebody who may be like really aggressive, really pushy, really attractive, right? I mean, not in the King of Pentacles type sense, but this is somebody who is very, compassionate here with the King of Cups, right? Whether you're dealing with male, female, you got Aries, Scorp, and Aquarius going on here, and Sagittarius. Jesus Christ. I usually don't call out the signs because to me it really doesn't mean much. But with the King of Cups, this is somebody who is romantic and loving. But with Temperance, it's like We're taking our time in building the passion here, even though they may be coming in hot and heavy. The problem is the clarifiers here. I have to wonder if this isn't a situation where you may be healing somebody else's issues. So now this could be one of two things with the Ten of Swords. We're going to clarify this again, but this could be about somebody who recently went through a bad breakup, or it's somebody that you have been separated from with the Ten of Swords. And they may have changed, right? And with death, the aspect of the relationship is changing. It's not going to go back to how it was, right? It's changing into something else. But that's more about the other person, I think, and them becoming like more open, more loving. And then you move into this place where it's like, let's just take our time and heal the issues. That, or it's somebody completely new here who had a major life change, and you may be the healing factor in their life. And that may be why we're looking at Temperance. We need to take our time healing this situation because things need to be corrected. Now, with the World, right, this would have been otherwise a very good relationship, a relationship that made you feel complete. That is what the World is in this deck. And then the Chariot with Death, it may be that, you know, they have like a major life change and they want to come back in and they want to get the relationship back on track. But like I said, we need to kind of like slow down here and do some healing and fix some wrongs with justice. You know, but this would be a really good indicator coming out that things are going to get back on track, right? And you may be enjoying a lot of fun time together, right? It's almost like you kind of like lock yourselves in your room for a couple of days, you know. But I think that this is good for those of you who are dealing with someone who may have made a mistake. And I think that they may be realizing that when it comes to, you know, the relationship with you. All right. And I hate that that's your card. Pisses me off. We need to find a different one for Cap. But anyway. Calling in your soulmate. I really think that you're trying to get them to realize that what they're doing is, you know, not just not good. How do I put this? It's like what you're doing is not good for the relationship, but you know that it's not good for you because, you know, we're soulmates here, right? And I really think that you're dealing with somebody who gets tempted, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean cheating, although, you know, the devil can show that, right, they easily get caught up in things that they shouldn't, okay? I'm trying to be gentle about this. So coming in with the Sun, you start this relationship off looking like this is really good. The sun is shining on this relationship. Everything feels really good. This is exactly where you need to be. And again, it's like you feel like you're soulmates, right? But it's like you're needing to call them back in before they do something really stupid. Now, with the Seven of Pentacles, they start to get lazy. And there's not a lot of effort that is being put into the relationship, you know? And then you move into the Nine of Wands, which I'm like, okay, great, right? This is somebody who is wanting to try to fix things with you before it's too late. And with the Eight of Wands here, we're enjoying our time together, you know? But it may be that somebody is pushing the situation a little bit, you know, because there is that quick energy with the Eight of Wands. But I also look at this as we just need to enjoy our time together and not try to, you know, take the relationship to the next level just yet. But then you move into the Six of Pentacles where you look like you're not getting what you want from this person, but that's because they may be doing some things they shouldn't be doing with the devil. And then the Two of Cups, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm serious. That's what I'm talking about. The devil doesn't necessarily have to show that they've actually done anything in terms of cheating. You know, it would have been different had we seen like the Tower or the Three of Swords here. I just think that they're susceptible to temptation. I think that would be the best way to put it. And I think that they're dangerously close to causing a problem. But I think that you catch it because of the Six of Pentacles. You feeling like, wait a minute, there's a part of them that's not giving to this relationship anymore like they used to. You know, so it's almost like you started that way, but then you go back that way, but it gets a little bit too close to the edge, so to speak. But I think that you guys come back together here with the Two of Cups and try to, you know, have a better connection, mend the relationship, right? It looks really good. Like the connection is still there. So now with the Six of Wands, you're talking about somebody who is putting themselves out there. Now that could be you or the other person here, but regardless, there is this like half-ass attempt. You know, it's like they give up trying. And it's almost like every time you put yourself in front of them, they're just not giving the full effort that maybe they once did. But with the Sun, you're still talking about, you know that this is the relationship you're supposed to be in. Then you move into with the Two of Wands here, where again, this person is trying to fix this situation here. And you're spending time together and you're enjoying those moments. And I think that they genuinely make an effort to try to understand you better. Because that is the Two of Wands, right? Getting to know someone, flirting, things like that. But like I said, it gets close. It gets close. But you're going to be calling them back in through those prayers and visualizations, right? And bringing you back together, I think is what's going on here.